Hey interwebs, Antface here with the next installment in my Destiny Subclass Origins series. If you haven't seen my first video explaining why I think there's a little more behind the history of each subclass, I'll put a link to that in the description. But for now, let's take a look at the origins of the Bladedancer. The Bladedancer's defining characteristic is a blade of arc light, a blade that they seem incredibly proud of. It's arguable, however, that the arc blade was not first created by a guardian, but by a creature of the darkness. Ghost Fragment, which details the interrogation of a hive wizard by Praxic Warlock Ariana 3, describes the creation of a screaming knife, which sounds an awful lot like an arc blade. Recall the grimoire of arc light. It's the very force that can give or take life, that which binds a ghost to its shell. A blade hammered out of a ghost might very well be of arc light. So did Crota hold the secret to the arc blade? Who then would have been the closest to studying and discovering his secrets?
Six of us went down into the pit. Only one crawled out. I am Eris, the last. I don't know what to do with myself anymore.
Eris alone survived the raid, and Eris alone emerged the first Bladedancer. There's no doubt that Eris was exposed to the corruption of the darkness when trapped in the Hellmouth. She became tainted by the darkness, and now wears the mark of the Hive on her face, their signature third eye. Her appearance is almost identical to the Mask of the Third Man, an exotic helmet that specifically enhances the arc blade. That alone doesn't seem very convincing. So let's take a look at what we know about Eris Morn. The lore makes it clear that Eris lost her ghost in the failed raid. But isn't it possible that Eris sacrificed her own ghost to fashion an arc blade, the same way that Crota created a screaming knife out of a guardian's ghost? This is even more compelling if we take into account Crota's own words to Eris. Crota addresses Eris personally, explaining to her the strength of his sword and the power of an ascendant blade. It seems, perhaps, that Crota took a liking to Eris, and helped her understand how to create an arc blade. In fact, the attacks of the Bladedancer are almost identical to the techniques used when wielding an ascendant sword or blade of Crota. Whether Crota took a liking to her, or was simply taunting her, it seems possible that Crota imparted the knowledge that Eris needed to discover the secret of the arc blade. Eris herself hints at the discovery of a set of Arc Hunter abilities to complement the Solar Hunter abilities, take them back with fire and lightning. But the arc blade isn't all. Currently, the only person in the tower who will vouch for Eris Morn is the Warlock Vanguard leader, Ikora Rey. Eris operates under Ikora, as a member of her Hidden. But why would Eris, a hunter, be recruited by the Order of the Warlocks to gather intelligence for them? The answer lies in Eris' unique Bladedancer ability to turn invisible. This invisibility is a defining characteristic of the Bladedancer, second only perhaps to the arc blade itself. Eris sells the Cloak of the Hidden, and with it speaks of the need to utilize the shadows. By harnessing the shadows deep within the Hellmouth, Eris mastered the Bladedancer art of invisibility. It's Eris' discovery of invisibility that might very well be the reason that she alone survived the disastrous raid. The lore barely mentions her strength as a guardian prior to the raid, but Eris herself mentions the inspirational strength of her allies. It appears that Eris was far from the strongest of her companions, and yet remains the fire team's sole survivor. She even recounts watching her allies perish. This suggests that Eris was close enough to the rest of the fire team to watch them all fight and die, but she herself managed to continually avoid the hive by way of her invisibility. Eris' history, her corruption by the darkness, her strong connection to Crota, and the secret of her miraculous survival, all seem to suggest that the first Bladedancer was in fact Eris Morn. I've been Antface. Once again, thanks for watching, and I hope you'll tune in next time.
I feared my transgressions against the light would